Well, here we are, guys, with a 6170R that won't start. Let's see what we've got in here for codes. You guys are probably wondering what are we doing farming in January? Well, this is organic garlic. And I don't know much about garlic, but apparently they burn the tops off. There's probably some of you guys that are going to be watching this going, know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know shit about garlic. But here we go with a big burner, and for some reason they burn the tops off, I guess, to keep it from freezing is what I'm guessing. And they're probably just keeping the roots alive and burning the tops off. That's the only thing that I can really guess. Because I know it takes a couple, pretty much a full season, winter and summer, to grow this stuff. I know that. The limited exposure I have had to it. Oh, let's see what's going on with this tractor here. First thing we need to do is see what kind of codes we got, and let's just see if it'll start when I show up. So I think it's going to start. Let me get my jumper cables hooked up to it. That's what happens when some dumb shit mechanic forgets his jumper cables in the shop. So I took my welding leads off my welder, and we got our welding leads hooked up to this tractor right now. Let's see what happens now. Knucklehead. I jumped something off in the shop and rolled them up. Forgot to put them back in the utility box on the service truck. Let's see what kind of codes. Let her charge for a while. Alright. Yeah, okay. I don't care for these 6170Rs very much. Go down to Diagnose. This thing's got some phenomenal limbs on it. Golly. Keep this on this camera. With my greasy ass is about impossible. CCU has codes. No ECU codes, huh? Okay. PDU has codes. RLC, park lock controller has codes. PTA, IVT has codes. TIA, man, we got all kinds of stuff going on here. Let's go up to the CCU. Active, no. CCU, I'll just save these codes. Let's go to the CLC. Active, no. Oh, come on. I'll get my text unit out here and hook up to it here in a minute. Active, no. Park lock controller. Active, no. None of them are active so far. TTAs are IVT. Nothing's active right now. Alright, well. I think a TIA controller had a codes in it. No, nothing's active there either. That's it. Still ain't wanting to start. Wish I had my bigger cables here to jump it. Well, let's see if we're making a connection here. Oh, that's a cab falling out. Let's undo the battery here. Touch it to the ground. It's arcing, so you got good connection then. Well, shoot. Let's give her some RPMs and get some amperage pushed into it. Now we'll just sit here and let it run and see if we can just, boy, that blow-by filter sure is greasy and nasty on it. I kind of suspected I would see some ECU controller codes in it. This is one of them I've changed the EGR cooler on. Okay, probably need to get this panel off. I got a feeling we got something either going on with the fuel system in it. Directly hooked to the starter now. It's dropping out. It's deader to door now. I bet they just cranked and cranked and cranked on it. Well, I'll be back in a minute. We're gonna have to let this thing charge up pretty damn good to get her to spin over fast enough to see what's going on. I'm gonna have to go to the shop and get my jumper cables and come back. This thing just, I don't know, they're just not big enough, I guess, these welding lead cables. Let's see these codes. Let's go into tractor, go into 6R series. Yeah. Let's go to system scan. It's a T31 or T16 cable. Okay, I know where to plug it in. I'm trying to get where you guys can see that, but there's a glare coming from the sun behind me. It's pretty hard to see it even for me without the camera. Alright, yeah, my connection was bad down here, so it's scanning all the controllers. Then I can kind of go through and see the codes in the controllers, make some kind of determination then maybe if I've got a... I didn't see any ECU codes though in it. Alright, so transmission, body, chassis management. Let's go to the transmission here. Errors detected. Okay. Okay, PLC control software CAN message not present or incorrect. Okay. TIA auto power IVT transmission engagement control unit. Transmission output speed from PTA control software. CAN message not present or incorrect. DTC description not available. I'll have to get actually into the controller and find out what it is. CCU chassis control unit. Okay. No description available. Code 2000 CCU control software. So we got a CAN. It looks like we're having a CAN. Got a CAN problem here. Another CAN. I bet we've got a bad. Bunch of CAN message codes. So we probably got a bad terminator resistor on it here somewhere, I'm betting. Let's we're gonna go ahead and erase like that. Deleting the fault. So I want to see what comes back as it active. I'm probably gonna have to run back, get my damn big double-aught jumper cables to get this thing started, because they probably came out here and it wouldn't start, and they cranked and cranked and cranked on it until the batteries went dead. That's usually what happens. Yeah, okay. That's just reinitializing it. Scan it again to see if the code's cleared. And then we're gonna have to probably go get my jumper cables, come back, actually get some real good live voltage going to it and amperage from some big cables, because it's cold and these welding leads are just not doing it. And see if we can get her to fire up. Maybe we can throw an active code. When you have all those codes like that, if you can get them to clear and then try it again, we need to go to the ECU controller too. Let's see what our all those codes cleared. So let's go let's go into the ECU controller. Let's go, actually I'm gonna go into the ECU controller. Where's the diesel injection? Go into the ECU controller, and I want to see what our rail pressure is with key on, engine off. Okay, let's go to parameters. Let's go to, should be rail pressure. Cold start, crank position, signal. DPF. Alright guys, you can see there. You got your, you want to look at that actual fuel rail pressure, 0 psi. If you see pressure on that, that's usually an indication that your rail pressure sensor is bad. Desired fuel rail pressure sensor. Let's crank on it. We can't get enough RPMs as part of our problem here. I gotta go get my jumper cables. This ain't working. Ended up pulling the whole common rail pump out, all because of this one bolt. I could not get on it without, it was feeling like it was, and it is, it's rounding out on me, and I'm on it good now, and it still doesn't want to come loose. Allens, you just gotta love Allens. You just gotta love them. I gotta get in my service advisor, and this pump's timed. I gotta figure out how to time it again when I put it back in there. And then it may not even work. May not even fix the problem we're having. I've been fighting this thing, fighting it, and long story short, I kind of figured out finally, after, you know, I had that one bolt on the suction control valve I couldn't get out. pulled the common rail pump out and was pinning the flywheel and turning it over to pin the flywheel by hand, and it was turning over hard, and then it freed up, and then I pulled the pin clear out of it and just kept turning it, and I kept getting to a hard spot in the engine. Then I pulled the stub shaft drive line up between the IVT and the engine to eliminate the transmission as a possibility of being the one hard to turn over, and it didn't. I think we lost. Something happened either on the top end or we got a piston sticking. So that would explain why it's probably not starting. So on these tractors, guys, to release your power torque on these IVTs, you'll see they're just like the 20 and 30 series that had IVTs. This cable here, you'll take it off the little hold down that's fastened to the bezel here. Take it off that, and there's two pieces on there. There's this piece here. I've got this park lock release. So basically, there's a little nut. You'll unscrew this from the end of the cable, and there's another little nut that's up here. You can't see it. And what you do, there's an eye sticking out up here. Take both those nuts off, thread them off the cable, run the threads through there, tighten up the nut, the little nut, all the way down until all the slack's gone out of the cable, and then sit on the seat and push on it. It'll be really stiff, and push the pedal down as far as it'll go, and you'll see the threaded, this part of this block's threaded. You'll have to, if it's a new tractor, you'll have to take the little tin foil that they got covering the hole up. They don't want nobody seeing the hole for some reason. And then push the pedal all the way down, then take this, it's threaded on the other end, and then thread it into that hole, and then let go of the pedal, and it'll rest against that and keep it in the park lock release position. So those guys kind of screwed me. We're gonna go over here and hook up to the counterweights on this front hitch and see if we can pick it up. And we're probably gonna have to take the lines loose, or I don't know, we gotta do something here to get this loose. Well, she's ready to be towed. I gotta take this whole front hitch and her stuff and go lay it over there, and then come over here and pick it up with a forklift. And I'm gonna go do something else, and then go drag it to the shop, and we'll get it in there and tear the motor apart. So stay tuned. All right, guys, this is that 6170R. It's about 9 o'clock at night. I'm burning the midnight oil. I'm hustling. I got so much work going on, and I'm trying to bust my ass and get more money, and put more lights in the shop, and try to make the viewing experience for you guys better. But I got to get some money, and I had an electrician come out. I just, you know, guys say, oh yeah, you can do that yourself. Well, yeah, I can do it myself, but I've got about 30 jobs going on. I don't have time to do it. So I'm just gonna hire an electrician, and he told me it cost him about, with the lights and his labor, he showed me the lights that he was gonna put in here, and they're, you know, the lights are gonna cost me about $3,000, and he'll do it for about $1,000, and he'll have it wired and all professionally done, and I don't have to mess with it. So anyway, guys, this tractor, the pan, I can't get the pan off. Apparently, you know, I have to leave the service manual. I was thinking I could get it off, but looking at it, but it doesn't appear that you can get this pan off without pulling the engine. So, to make a long story short, I got it down far enough to where I could see a gap in there, and I could see up in there and see at the pistons, and I can see right now that number 6 piston is broke clear in half. So, we're going to be doing a video on a 6170R engine rebuild. And another thing that I noticed, after I pulled the turbo, I wanted to see if there was a bent push rod or something. After I got the turbo off, I looked up in the inlet side of this DPF, and it is plugged solid. I mean, you can't even see the porous holes for the inlet side of it there. I mean, it's crazy. It's plugged solid. And the turbo is just gummed up all. I mean, these emissions engines are just junk. This tractor's got about 2,800 hours on it, and here we go with an engine rebuild. Because of it, and I'll guarantee you it's all due to this emission shit. You know, because these guys here, they take care of their stuff. They change their oils. I mean, probably the biggest problem with these guys is they idle because they have to. Well, which, no, I take that back. They don't have to. The old tractors they did because they pull bed machines to pull strawberry. They moved runners on the strawberry plants and pick blooms. And it's just a thing that they do, and they go really, really slow because they're pulling a 16-man mover behind them with these people laying on their bellies. And these people are pulling these by hand, but they're laying on their bellies on this machine that runs off the hitch, and they have to go really slow. The IVT is really handy for that. But on the old tractors, you know, they didn't have to worry about idling. On these new tractors, I try to explain to these guys that you can't idle these new tractors. You've got an IVT, and on IVT, run that RPM on up there around 1800, 2000 RPM. I know it's noisy, and them people back there don't want to hear it, but you know what? When you're fucking up your motor, they just need to put some earplugs in or something, you know, to me, because this is the kind of shit that happens. I mean, and it wouldn't happen at all if it didn't have all this fucking junk on here. But all right, guys, so we'll be tearing this thing down and doing an engine rebuild on it. So I'll see you then.